Good Thursday evening to everybody. Hope everybody is keeping warm, safe, and well wherever you are. Temperatures down to -11 this morning in Braemar. Last night it was -9.2, so a run of very cold nights has continued through the course of mid to late this week. But we are seeing changes taking place as we move through the course of this evening. And that kind of sets the tone for what will be a milder and more mobile upcoming weekend to come. So you can see here, this was the lows this morning according to the Meteo Seal website at -7.4 local Scarnick, 7.5 at Aviemore, -6.8. Here at Mark Vogan Weather HQ, dropped to -6.4, the lowest of November so far. Temperature only rose to 0.2 this afternoon, but I expect to see that number rise above that as we move through the course of this evening. But even down across parts of the West Midlands into Wales, and south central England, we've seen temperatures -4, -5 Celsius. So a fairly hard frost, even all the way down into the interior south of the UK. Across to Ireland and Northern Ireland, we had the -4s, -5s, and a few spots as well. Something milder down across the southwest, nearest to the Atlantic. 7.1 there was achieved at Valencia Observatory. Looking at the Highland Weather Network, and obviously a few sites here recording lower temperatures than the main official sites, but we've seen a few -9s, if you notice, within the southern portion of the Central Belt, just generally where the southern uplands meet the lowlands. We had some particularly cold numbers, but then as we headed north of the Central Belt, where we had the -5s, -6s, a few -7s, we did see double digits once again below freezing, and it looks as if we have got quite a lot of -11s and -12s in some of these sheltered spots in and around the Car Bridge area, for example. It looks as if it was the coldest. We did see areas to the southwest of Nethy Bridge recording -12 also. So yeah, there's a -14 actually that was achieved at Insharn. So certainly a cold night under clear skies, light winds. We did see the maximum radiational cooling take place. Had we had snow on the ground, we probably would have had even colder temperatures last night. So 2 meter temperature anomalies, ECMWF. You can see the very cold air mass bang slap over the UK and Ireland at the moment here. It is kind of on its own here. Notice Scandinavia is somewhat cold as well, but generally speaking, the UK is surrounded by milder conditions compared to average. Obviously, the model is picking up in the warmer waters, both to the west, but also we had some warm temperatures across the western side of the continent. Still bitterly cold conditions across Turkey, as can be seen here. But look at the change as we progress through the next 24 hours. Southwesterly winds, we're going to be transporting our air from the Azores, and therefore we're going to lift the temperatures quite substantially over the next few days. So temperatures that have failed to get above freezing over the last 2 or 3 afternoons. We could see double digits above freezing as we move towards the Saturday-Sunday time frame. So this is the 2 meter anomaly, as can be seen here from the ECMWF. Play through the loop. You've got some quite significant warm anomalies here by the time we reach Sunday. During the overnight between Saturday and Sunday, we've got quite a 4 or 5 Celsius warmer than average seen by the model here. Then as we move into the early portions of next week, we do have colder air coming back into play once again. Higher pressure in between a fairly mobile Atlantic-driven pattern. When you've got high pressure at this time of the year, you obviously have chillier days and cold nights as a consequence of that. Then we're back into something slightly milder off the Atlantic as we move through the course of next week. Looking at the 850 temperatures off the ECM, you can see the ups and downs in the temperature profile. So that cold high slides to the east. We're seeing that area of low pressure moving closer to the UK and Ireland, but between the high to the east, the low to the west, we've got southerly flow, milder conditions as a response to that. Wouldn't be surprised if we see we'll see about 13, 14 Celsius, even across parts of Scotland as we move through the course of this weekend. So southerly winds with low pressure to the west-northwest. Then as that system then moves up towards Scandinavia, we then allow colder air to move back in. Higher pressure means we've got some frosty nights to come. Then the next feature moves in, bringing more milder conditions from the south, and like I've highlighted now for several days on end, that with this rotating through phases 3 into 4 and 5 of the MJO, and with the cold that is now gathering strength over eastern North America, we're going to have a bitterly cold end of November, beginning of December for eastern United States, and that in turn will be interesting to see how that jet stream responds to that temperature contrast between Caribbean and eastern US. I would expect to see a stronger jet. That jet then crosses over the Atlantic. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a bit of a battle going on here between Atlantic and Azores high pressure, trying to build into the UK from the southwest here. So I think it's going to be a combination of areas of low pressure riding that jet stream across the Atlantic, but high pressure always trying to exert its influence from the south. So that is going to be the battleground over the next couple of weeks, I think, based on the MJO, based on the stratosphere, and the overall global pattern. But you can see here, if we look at the correct chart, would help. Bear with a second here, everybody. I did have the Arctic oscillation. You can see it's going deeper in the negative territory here, so that's showing positive heights over the Arctic region at the moment. Hence why we're seeing the cross-polar flow in the North America Arctic air getting driven south. The Arctic oscillation is negative, but it is expected to go towards neutral, which is quite interesting. Maybe leaning slightly on the negative side, but generally speaking, you can see a trend towards neutral in the Arctic oscillation. Looking at the North Atlantic oscillation too, going positive, but generally in a neutral phase through the first half of December. And in combination with the ECM rotating into the more pronounced phases of 3 into 4 into 5, you could pretty much have a reasonable certainty that we're going to see mainly an Atlantic pattern, high pressure, fairly strong Azores up towards the UK, but also a deeper Icelandic low in response to that as well. And if we look at the jet stream, this is off the ECMWF model. This kind of reinforces the ideas that I've got. This is for Saturday coming up, 30th of November. And we've got obviously a cold pool over eastern North America. We've got that strong jet stream between the heat over the Caribbean, the cold Arctic air over the eastern United States. Got a strong jet stream core. And as we play through this loop, this is off the ECM, like I say, you've got a general southwesterly component to that flow, because what happens is we've got higher pressure over the Azores towards Iberia, and we've got this kind of hose of jet stream winds here with lower pressure to the north, higher pressure to the south. Exactly where that jet orients itself will be subject to question here, but you notice these areas of low pressure right in the jet stream on the warm side, possibly moving into the cold side of the jet. It would suggest deepening. And if we look at the ECM overview chart here, we can see a parade of low pressure. So there's that area of low pressure, quite large, encompassing the majority of the Atlantic at the moment. High pressure now moved to the east, so the milder air is back in play once again. And as we play through the course of this weekend, look at where our air is coming from. It's all the way down towards the Azores, between the Azores and Iberia, even Africa. You've got that southerly flow riding several features that are running along that boundary between the low and the high. So therefore, we're going to see wet conditions, especially across northwestern areas initially, and then it's going to become more influential across the bulk of the UK through the course of the weekend. But as we play through the sequence, you can see this somewhat area of low pressure, not necessarily particularly deep, but we've got a lower pressure embedded within that over the UK. That is going to slide eastwards. We've got another shot of Arctic air coming down, if you notice here, so we may see precipitation change more wintry. There's that little slice of high pressure that builds in between the two features with cold air in place. We could have a reasonably chilly start the next week, actually. Then as we move into next week, we've got a series of fronts. Obviously, the cold air in place with the next frontal system moving in off the Atlantic may see snow in response to that. But look at this here. You would expect strong jet stream, 979 millibar low. That is deepening up to 951 millibars as it moves towards Iceland. The deeper these systems, the quicker the systems deepen, the more they want to turn north. That is a general rule of thumb. But notice here, Thursday, 5th of December, we've got a 951 low just to the south of Iceland. Associated frontal system squeezing the isobars because there's a tight gradient here between 1033 millibars over Germany versus the 951 millibars to the south of Iceland. This is the ideas that I've had for quite some time. Deepening areas of low pressure, that strong jet stream crossing over the Atlantic. We've got this fight between what happens between the strong jet moving zonally across the Atlantic versus the high that's trying to build northwards all the time between the Azores, Iberia, up towards the UK and Ireland. But I do expect, as I've said already, the potential for a name or two storm because we've got this phase 3 MJO. Now we're moving out of phases 3 into phases 4, but you've always got that slight lag effect. But remember the cold Arctic air that's over eastern North America. That strengthens the jet. But based on the fact that we've got the positive AO, NAO going to become more prevalent as we move through the course of next week, I think generally speaking, I believe anyway, it's safe to say that we've got a generally milder theme through the first half of December. And that is, it could be good news if you're interested in winter weather, because the thing about it is, if you look at the ECM model, it is indicating by the time we get to day 15, we're going out of phases 6 and heading back towards phases 7 and 8. The timing of that phase 7, 8, if we get there and it's amplified, will be very much subject to question. And then what response do we see? Now, the Arctic air that we had back last week, I believe very strongly, is a complete and direct consequence of that phase 7, 8 of the MJO. I think we're heading back towards it during the second half of December, but what kind of atmospheric response, whether we get back to the negative AO, NAO pattern, the Arctic air back into play once again, the timing of that is very open to question. But I've highlighted in my winter forecast that the potential is there towards the Christmas and New Year period that we may see something colder. This is a long way out. I get that. We're not even in December. But remember, end of October, the models weren't showing it. I said the MJO is heading into phases 7 and 8. We should see a response to something more Arctic as we move towards the back half of November. That has materialized. And if you look back, September, October, November, we've seen the rotation, we've seen the atmospheric response, we've seen the Arctic air, and every time we've seen Arctic air moving into the UK, whether it be September or November, it's been stronger than the previous episode, which is interesting to see as well. So do we see an even stronger Arctic outbreak as we move towards Christmas and New Year? That all remains to be seen. Now, the mean zonal winds are one of two measures of how strong the polar vortex is. The stronger the mean zonal winds, the stronger the polar vortex, the milder you generally find the pattern within the mid-latitudes. We are going towards record strong mean zonal winds as we move towards the end of week 1, beginning of week 2 of December. But notice here the ECM has a sharp drop-off in the ensemble mean, actually back towards average conditions as we move towards the Christmas New Year period. So what is causing the model to see that weakness? In my opinion, it's based on the fact that the MJO is expected to go into the cold phases once again. But it all has to, quite a lot of things do have to pan out, and it has to be said that. But generally speaking, I'm quite pleased with the outlook that I put out back at the weekend. There will be a December forecast coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. But the total accumulated precipitation, we'll finish with this. Off the GFS, you can see here, wet, especially across Western Ireland, Western UK. Always drier the further east you go. That is basically, it tells you that the Atlantic is going to be the driving force. Notice here we've got some big precipitation totals over parts of Iberia, but primarily down towards the south of Italy, into the Balkan region and towards Greece. We've got some significant rainfall totals, possible mountain snow associated with that as well, between now and Saturday the 14th of December. So again, a fairly lengthy video here, lots of things to cover. I do encourage you to hit that like button, let myself on YouTube know that you're enjoying the content, and also subscribe to the channel. There is 7 days a week content here, looking at the big picture, looking at the local stuff as well, and giving you a broader picture of how this pattern evolves from a planetary scale. And there is not a great deal of channels out there that give you that much in-depth, ahead of the models analysis, so to speak. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And obviously, we will have the live stream coming up this weekend. It'll be 4 p.m., by the way, and it'll be the Global Weather Report live. It's back this weekend, so something to look forward to coming up as well. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.